Good day, everyone. What does human thinking actually sound like? Is the mind logical, organized, linear? Or is it chaotic, fragmented, emotional, drifting endlessly from memory to memory? Imagine sitting silently in a room. Suddenly, your mind jumps from tomorrow's exam to a childhood memory, to the smell of tea, to a regret you had 5 years ago, and then to a random song lyric. This strange, flowing movement of thought became one of the most revolutionary literary techniques of the 20th century. Welcome, students of literature. Today we explore one of the most fascinating narrative techniques in modern fiction, stream of consciousness. A style that does not simply tell us what a character thinks, but attempts to make us experience thought itself. Stream of consciousness is a literary technique that attempts to capture the continuous flow of a character's thoughts, feelings, memories, impressions, and sensory experiences. Instead of presenting thoughts in neat, logical sentences, this style imitates the actual movement of the human mind. The phrase itself combines two important ideas: stream, something flowing continuously; consciousness, human awareness or thought. So together, stream of consciousness means the flowing river of human thought. Unlike traditional storytelling, where events are narrated clearly and logically, stream of consciousness often feels fragmented, emotional, and unlinear. To understand this technique, we must understand the historical moment that produced it. Stream of consciousness became popular during the Modernist movement in the early 20th century. Modernist writers were living in a world transformed by industrialization, urbanization, technological change, and especially the trauma of World War I. The old certainties of religion, morality, empire, and tradition were collapsing. Writers began asking, how can literature represent the confusion of modern life? Traditional Victorian storytelling suddenly seemed too orderly for a chaotic modern world. So writers experimented. Instead of focusing only on external events, they turned inward towards psychology, memory, emotion, and subjective experience.
The term stream of consciousness actually came from psychology. Psychologist William James described human consciousness as a continuous flowing stream rather than separate logical thoughts. Among the great pioneers were Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, Marcel Proust, Dorothy Richardson, and William Faulkner.
These writers changed fiction forever. Now let us examine the major characteristics of this technique. Nonlinear thought. Human thinking rarely follows a straight line. A person may begin thinking about breakfast and suddenly remember a funeral. Why? Because the mind works through associations. Traditional prose moves like this: A to B to C to D. But stream of consciousness moves like this: A to memory, to fear, to smell, to childhood, to a random image, and back to the present moment. This creates realism of the mind rather than realism of action. One major feature is unconventional sentence structure. Writers often use run-on sentences, broken grammar, interruptions, ellipses, dashes, repetitions, and fragmented phrases. Why? Because thoughts themselves are incomplete and unstable. The mind does not think in perfectly edited paragraphs. Consider how anxious people think. Did I lock the door? No, maybe not. Perhaps I should go back. What if? That is stream of consciousness energy. The structure imitates mental movement. This is perhaps the most important feature. One thought triggers another through emotional or sensory connections. A smell may trigger memory. A sound may awaken regret. A face may revive childhood trauma. This creates sudden leaps between ideas that may initially appear random. But psychologically, they are deeply connected. Stream of consciousness frequently includes sights, sounds, smells, textures, and tastes. Because human consciousness constantly reacts to sensory experience. Modernist writers wanted readers not merely to observe characters, but to inhabit their minds. Repetition often reveals obsession, fear, guilt, desire, or trauma. A repeated phrase becomes almost musical. It imitates the way thoughts loop endlessly inside the brain. Stream of consciousness versus interior monologue. Students often confuse these two terms, so let us clarify carefully. Interior monologue presents a character's thoughts directly, but usually in logical and grammatically correct sentences. For example, I should go home now, mother will be worried. But stream of consciousness attempts to recreate the actual experience of thinking. Home, yes, mother waiting, perhaps angry, no, not angry, tired, maybe rain coming. Notice the fragmentation. The second version feels more immediate and psychological. So remember, interior monologue reports thought. Stream of consciousness reproduces thought. That distinction is extremely important in literary criticism. Now let us examine some literary examples.
One of the greatest practitioners of stream of consciousness was Virginia Woolf.
Her famous novel, Mrs. Dalloway, follows characters across a single day in London. But externally, very little happens. The real drama occurs inside the characters' minds. Clarissa Dalloway watches taxicabs in the street, and suddenly her mind drifts toward loneliness, memory, aging, identity, and lost love. Woolf does not simply describe thoughts. She reproduces their movement. Notice how one observation leads to another through emotional association. This creates psychological realism. We do not merely understand Clarissa. We inhabit her consciousness. That is the power of stream of consciousness. Another extraordinary example appears in Beloved by Toni Morrison. In one haunting passage, the ghostly figure Beloved speaks fragmented language. I am not dead. The repetition becomes almost hypnotic. Grammar collapses, punctuation disappears. The voice feels desperate, emotional, ghost-like. Morrison used stream of consciousness to express trauma that ordinary language cannot fully capture. This is important. Modernist and postmodern writers often use this technique because trauma itself disrupts logical thinking. Pain fragments consciousness, and literature reflects that fragmentation. Stream of consciousness is not limited to novels. It also appears in poetry. Consider the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. The speaker drifts constantly between insecurity, memory, fantasy, fear of aging, and social anxiety. When Prufrock suddenly says, "Do I dare to eat a peach?" the line seems strange, but psychologically it reveals fear of aging and embarrassment. Then suddenly he imagines mermaids. The poem mimics wandering thought patterns. Again, association replaces logic. Now let us turn to William Faulkner and his novel As I Lay Dying. Faulkner's writing often feels difficult because he pushes stream of consciousness to extremes. Characters speak broken emotional rhythms, sentences stretch endlessly. Thoughts overlap with memory and sensory impressions. In one scene, the repeated phrase, "one lick less," captures the character's irritation, emotional collapse. The repetition imitates obsessive mental fixation. Faulkner forces readers into the emotional turbulence of consciousness itself. Many students struggle with modernist literature. And honestly, that struggle is intentional. Because stream of consciousness rejects easy reading. Readers must actively participate. You must connect fragmented ideas, interpret symbolic associations, reconstruct timelines, and infer emotional meaning. Modernist writers believed reality itself was fragmented. Therefore, literature should also be fragmented. Difficulty became part of artistic truth. So why do writers choose this challenging technique? It represents thinking more authentically than conventional narration. Readers experience thoughts directly instead of hearing about them secondhand. The technique allows smooth movement between present and past. Fragmented thought mirrors emotional suffering. Writers wanted to revolutionize literature itself. Reading stream of consciousness can feel immersive.
Instead of standing outside the character, readers enter the character's mental world.
It creates intimacy. You begin to experience confusion, fear, desire, memory, and loneliness from within the consciousness itself. This is why stream of consciousness transformed modern fiction. It changed literature from external storytelling into psychological exploration. So, students, stream of consciousness is not merely a literary technique. It is an attempt to answer one profound question. What does it truly mean to be human? Not the human being society sees on the outside, but the hidden interior world of thought, fear, memory, longing, and imagination. Modernist writers dared to enter that hidden world. And in doing so, they transformed literature forever. If you enjoyed this lecture, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep explorations into English literature, literary theory, poetry criticism, and modern fiction. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and keep thinking deeply.